Let us have a look at methods in Java. We'll first understand what methods are, then why do we need methods, then we'll be creating our own methods, and we'll also be learning how to return values from methods. But first, forget about methods. Let's start with your daily schedule. What do you do the first thing in the morning? So you basically wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you eat breakfast, then whether you are a student or a professional or anybody else, you basically go from home to somewhere, maybe work, college, school, then there you work or study, then you basically have lunch, then again work, study, office, then you travel back home, and then you listen to some music and have dinner, talk to friends, read a book, sleep. So what we did, we just listed down some things of a routine of a normal person, normal working professional or a student. Now when we create a list of these things, when we create a list of these things, we will come to notice that the list becomes too long, and certain things can be grouped together into one, like waking up, brushing teeth, taking shower, eating breakfast can be termed as, say, morning chores. So let us try to group certain things and let us try to shorten our list. So here we are. What we exactly did was we combined the similar items, and so for example, for the first four items like waking up, brushing teeth, taking shower and eat breakfast, we basically said let morning chores represent these four items. Similarly, we see that travel has appeared two times. One where you are basically traveling from home to work, and other when you will be traveling from work to home. And your work hours, depending on what you are, consist of different things. So when you are a student, they consist of attending lectures, having lunch during break, and attending more lectures. And I might also write bunking lectures here. So that's what you do in your work hours. And as I said earlier, the when you travel from work to home, again we have the same travel, just the start position and the end position is replaced. And then relax part can consist of, say, listening to music, talking to friends, family, having dinner, and sleeping. The important point to note is that we basically grouped the operations. We took certain activities and grouped them together. But what we actually did, we created a method. We created many methods actually. Now, what a method is? A method is a collection of statements performing an operation or several of them. Now, when you have morning chores, this means that the operations being performed are waking up, brushing teeth, taking bath, etc., having breakfast. So these several operations are grouped together, and these collection of statements are called morning chores. And this is our method. We use open and close parentheses after the name of the method, and this is how we denote a method. Now the question may arise, why do we need methods? So recall the travel method which we had created. Now traveling activity is same. The only difference is the original, or say the starting destination, and the final destination. So in our two cases where we use the travel method, in first case the starting destination was home to and the final destination was work, while in the second case the starting destination was basically work and the ending destination was home. Now travel works the same way, the difference is just the start and end. So in methods basically consist of same set of statements catering to a different scenario. So now just one method of travel kind of helped cater to the fact when or help cater to the situation in which you were traveling from work to home, or even the different situation in which you were traveling from home to work. Let's quickly get started and create our first method. So we'll be writing a method to add two numbers, and this is how our method will look like. Let us now examine each and every component of the same. This is basically the access modifier. This tells how your method will be accessed. It can be public, private, etc. Now, what is the difference between public and private will be discussed in the next set of videos. But as of now, we'll be keeping all our methods public. So what this particular method is doing, it is printing something. Now there are methods which return values to the point from where they were called. So in our main function, when we call this method called add two numbers, this method is just printing something. It is not returning something. It is not returning anything. So the return type of this method is called void. Had it been returning an integer, and we'll look later how the returning part works, then the return type would have been int or double or anything depending on the situation, depending on the return type. So this basically represents the return type. And void return type means that it is not returning anything. Now add two numbers is basically the name of our method. You can call it anything. So this is the place where you will actually name the method. Recall that our travel method was taking two parameters. So methods need some variable to perform certain actions. Like the travel method needed the start destination and the end destination. So adding two numbers basically need two numbers, and these parameters are passed from the point where the method is called. So in these brackets you will enter the parameters, and we have integer num1 and integer num2, these two parameters of the method add two numbers. Then the important part comes is the body of the method. This is where all the action takes place. So what it is doing is it is printing the sum of two numbers, which is basically our method to add two numbers. Body is the, say, the action sequence. Here whatever operations, whatever stuff is happening happens in the body. The methods which we saw till now were only performing something. Even the morning chores method was just performing four tasks like brushing teeth, waking up, or the add two numbers method was just printing out the sum of two numbers. Now we want them to return something. And where do they return? So as I told in the previous slide also, they returned values to the method from which they were called, and in our case main. The important point to note is that even main is a method. So we'll be calling our method from main, and the method which we'll be calling will return something which will come back to main. Let us try and write this method. So let us call our method minor or adult. It takes in the age and returns a string which is minor or adult. So basically you will tell the age to it, and it will return a string by which it will tell you whether you are a minor or an adult. Let's answer three questions here. What is the return type? It is clearly evident that the return type is string. What are the parameters? So it takes in the age. So we have one parameter, integer age. What is the name of the method? You can keep it anything. Let's keep it minor or adult, like in the question. So this is how our method will look like. This is the access modifier. Let's keep it public. The return type is string because it is returning a string. Minor or adult, the name of the method, and int age our parameter. So what this method is doing, what the body consists of, if the age of the method is greater than or equal to 18, it is returning a string adult. Now look at the way how return works. You write the return keyword and you write here what to return. So you can also write, say, return 4. This is basically returning an integer. Return 8.2. This is basically returning a double value. In our case, return adult, this is basically returning a string. Else we are returning minor. So this is basically how return works. We took an age and we returned a string based upon the age. Now we'll call this method from main. So we define a variable a and we assign value 34 to it. We pass this value to our method minor or adult. Now we know that this minor or adult, say this method, will return something, and whatever it will return will go back to the main method, and then it will store in result. Result is a string here. So when the method is invoked here and when it gets finished, it will go back to the main with the string it returns. In our case, it 34, which is greater than or equal to 18. So it will return a string adult. So, and this string will be stored in the result. And when we are printing out result, so the output of the system will be adult. Two important things to revise upon. When we have the void keyword, specifies that method does not return a value. We had string here, that means the method returns a string. If we had void, then does not return anything. And when method invocation occurs, the control of the program is transferred to the called method. And when the method is finished, the control is transferred back to from where it was called. Finally, quickly revising the points. Methods are collection of statements performing actions. And we saw they consist of a name, a return type, access modifier, parameters, and also body. And we saw that they can return values and or can they return nothing, in which case the type is void.